Well, people don't know you. Tell us who you are.
And
You,
I'm
you
still figuring out who I am, to be quite
okay?
honest with you. I
Okay.
think I'm learning every day about who I am. But over the course of my years and being on the face of this planet, I've seen a lot. I've been involved in a lot. I've done a lot, some which I'm proud of, and a lot of which I'm not so proud of. But over it all and through it all, I like me.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is the permeating thing that to me seems to be uncommon in the world society as things stand is I think there's a lot of people walking around that don't like themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
And instead of them being able to figure out why they don't like themselves, they spend their time trying to cover up and hide out like Adam and Eve did in the garden. That's just my opinion. But I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing. God asked Adam where he was, not because he didn't know where he was, but he wanted to be able to see if he would be accountable for where he was and what condition he put himself in by being disobedient. And to me, it's a very simple thing, no different than their children, Cain and Abel. Well, Cain killed Abel. And when the ground cried out and the Lord Almighty was alerted of it, the question that he was asked was, "Where art thou, brother?" And his response was a rebuking of the Almighty. Am I my brother's keeper? Well, to be actual and factual, yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
But how good of a job are you doing?
So, are you wearing a lot of
That's
hats
where
for
you
your
got to
community
self-examine.
or for your job? Where are all these different hats that you wearing? Is it for the job or for the community or both?
I think it's just the culmination of, I mean, I'm a father,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a confidant, I'm a friend. So with all of the hats that we wear, it all depends on what's going on at the time as to what hat you may have
Okay.
referencing whatever is going on at the time.
All right. All right. Okay. So you work for Oakland Thrive. Let me make sure you're correct. So which
Yeah.
which is that about? Is it about economic empowerment or is it about missions that you guys are on? Or what's the real life situation for that? How does that really work with other people?
Well, I think that that is a work in progress.
Oh, okay.
I think that that's the best and most fair and equitable way to be able to say that is that it's a work in progress. And, some, excuse me, some may see that it's progressively moving forward. Others may see that it's kind of stalled. And others may see that there's nothing of any worthwhile benefit happening. But I think that all comes back down to perspective and what it is that you expect, as well as what you're willing to go and inspect.
Okay.
So, you can't play from the sidelines. You got to get on the field, or you got to decide that you're going to be one of the fans. But you can't be a player and still be able to now objectively operate from your own perspective. You got to be able to at least say, okay, have I been involved? Have I engaged? Have I put in some time to be able to find out what's happening? And then I earned the right to have an opinion.
Okay.
But if you don't invest, then you never get a chance to be able to understand what's really going on. And intentions and actual realization may not come together, but ideally, that's what we want to happen. We want the synergy from the sentiments to match up with the results. And we now can come together and feel as though we've made some kind of connection that allows us to progressively move forward together.
So that is community work, right?
I would say so, but again, in what aspect do you feel like you are a part of the community,
Okay.
or do you feel like you're above the community?
Okay.
Because it's very, very delicate parallel to be able to think, well, I'm here and they need to catch up, or to think we are all here because none amongst you is righteous. No, not one. That means that I don't have more favor than you have the ability to acquire. But to me, the distinguishing factor between favor is favor comes as not just unmerited favor, that's grace. But favor comes when you get chosen, you get pointed out, you get picked. And to be picked, you have to be willing to be peculiar. I'm willing to be peculiar.
Okay.
I'm not trying to fit in. I'm very comfortable with standing out, but I'm not standing out to say, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm willing to stand out to be able to say, look at them, look at them, look at
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing. And if you don't have the ability to see what I mean when I say, look at them, then I'm the representative that's going to distort your view. So I'm either part of the problem or I'm trying to be the solution. And I can't determine that. Only the people that I serve can do that.
So, what got you into this? Was it a movement or a person or an experience? What, say this is the direction I'm gonna go into.
What got me into it, I would say, was my desire to be able to make a difference,
Okay.
my desire to be able to leave a legacy, my desire to be able to take my life experiences and put them on display, not to portray something that I can't back up. That's what motivated me. It was to be able to say, I think that this is the way. I think that that is the way. I think that if you're going to own a business, you should have a mentality that says, I want to be able to uniquely identify what I can bring to the market.
Right.
And I don't want to get caught up in the red tape of what it takes for me to bring what I
Mm.
have to market. But I want somebody to believe in me enough that I'm willing to withstand all of the hoops, the ups and the downs, to be able to now persevere and get to a point where I can bring what I think should be brought to the market to the market.
So you have to move between systems and business and community. What type of hat are you find that you always wearing the most?
I think the one that I'm wearing the most is an advocate hat
Okay.
because I'm not afraid to advocate for the underdog because I've been an underdog all my life. I'm not afraid to advocate for the person that may not be able to eloquently speak for themselves because instead of me wanting to hear what you got to say, I'm going to watch your actions. And based on your actions, I'm going to see where your heart is. And if I can see where your heart is, then that will give me the motivation to be able to say, you know what? I don't mind advocating for you.
Okay.
And that to me should be enough to be able to take the person under your wing or to lock arms with them and say, do you want to go where I think you can go?
Okay.
And if you tell me that you do, whether it's sign language or you verbally say that that's what you think, you can write it down. You can send me a text message. You can email me. There's multiple ways to communicate. Yes, I want to change my circumstances. That's enough for me.
Hmm.
So I will advocate for that.
Okay. So this being Black History Month, and we honor the past, of course, everybody knows that. But you're actively building the future. So what would your legacy be? What would you want your legacy to be? When you leave behind for other people to see that.
My legacy, if I were to sum it up as best as I can as to how I feel today,
Hmm.
I avoided many traps in this life. And I did not avoid those traps because I was smarter than the next man. And I did not avoid those traps because I was better than the next man.
Hmm.
But I avoided those traps because I was humble enough to ask the Almighty to be able to show me through whatever issues, whatever challenges, whatever
Okay.
calamities that He would decide to let pass by me. I wanted to be able to show myself approved and then be given more in the way that it would be able to now help somebody else never forget about the imprint I made on their life And if I can do that long enough and strong enough, then that means that I'll touch enough people to where by the time I get done, I got another good 50 to 60 years of me touching somebody's life that will keep me in the essence of what it is to have made an impression on somebody. And that to me is legacy. Whether you help them financially, whether you help them spiritually, whether you help them emotionally, whether you help them become a better father, a better mother, a better sister, a better brother, or whatever it may be, if you can make and leave a positive, resonating effect on somebody, then you created a legacy.
Well, that goes to my next question. Looking ahead, what projects or innovative ideas do you have, or something that's exciting that you see on the horizon that's about to happen?
I believe that there's a polar shift happening. I don't have the scientific background to be able to explain that, nor do I have the philosophical background to be able to make that become something more than it is, that's just unadulterated and true from my spirit to yours and whomever else may be listening is.
Okay.
There is power in collaboration.
Yes, it is.
And until you are now able to have life humble you, or you humble yourself, to me, it's two choices in life. Either you're going to let life humble you, or you're going to become smart enough to let yourself decide to humble yourself. Either way, you're going to come to one of them realities. And based on my experience, it's much better to humble myself than it is to wait till life humbles me. And the one saving grace in that was, it's better to have five you can try to reach out to that will respond to you than for you to depend on yourself all the time, because no man is an island, and anything worthwhile has been done from a collective more so than it was for an individual. An individual might have sparked it, but you can't tell me that anybody that's done anything of any significance didn't need some form of a team to help them accomplish
Hmm.
what they got started.
Okay, I like that. With that being said, as the young people coming up behind you, or people watching this video, what advice would you give them if they want to serve their community as you have? What do you think they should do to start off to be in the right foot? What would you suggest?
I would, I guess, if I had to think about that question, I would say that the most important thing you can do is develop your mental stability, develop your internal fortitude, develop your ability to be able to handle adversity, develop your ability to be able to remain consistent in the midst of chaos, develop your ability to be able to establish a routine that allows you to be able to have some semblance of peace. And from there, I would suggest you pass it on. Become good at something. And whatever that is that you choose to become good at, don't become self-righteous and so self-serving that you bang everybody over the head with the fact that you're good at something. But moreover, challenge somebody else to be good at something that's in opposition of what you're good at, so you can work your way to being able to bridge the gaps to create a symbiotic, cohesive, collaborative ecosystem that allows people that have different talents to come together so you can create community. Because it's one thing to say you are part of the community, it's another thing to be able to create community amongst people that have no idea how to do it.
Okay. It seems like, nah, it could just be me, that we are doing pretty bad in the United States as far as treating people of color. And we used to have leaders like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, and then on and on and on. But we don't seem to, just to me, have that type of leadership anymore. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we'd still have leadership in that same capacity, and we're not doing as bad as we were doing back in the 60s?
No, I would say that there's things that I believe have plagued our community that are still overlooked and minimized, and those things allow us to be able to overlook the reality of the why of the condition. Because the condition, in my opinion, is one thing. The why of the condition is another thing that now covers up the easy, simplistic aspects of being dismissive. When you take the why a situation has come about and you cover it up
Mm-hmm.
with the reality
Mm-hmm.
of the situation,
Yeah.
you now negate the ability for those that should take accountability to not take accountability. And so there's things that happen by chance, there's things that happen by happenstance, and then there are things that are done by design. And I think that there needs to be a distinguishing factor that will identify what was just by happenstance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the lightning came out of the sky and it struck a tree, and that tree hit the wire and the power went out. So we can deduce what that happenstance was that nobody had control over, right?
Right.
Then we can move on to something you do by choice. You had a choice in being able to decide whatever it is that you had a choice over, whether you decide to buy 2% milk or you decide to buy whole milk.
Mm-hmm.
That is a situation where you have a choice because you want to get some milk. What skim milk, buttermilk, 2%, that is the various options available to where all of it is considered milk, but buttermilk is distinctly different from 2%. 2% is distinctly different from vitamin D. Vitamin D is distinctly different from skim milk,
Okay.
but they all milk, right?
Right. They're all milk.
And so if you trying to make cornbread, buttermilk will work. Regular milk will work. Skim milk will work. 2% will work. If you're trying to make buttermilk, it'll work. Or
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, you're trying to make cornbread, it'll work.
Okay.
But if you're trying to make pancakes, it might be a little different because if you want the flavor that comes with buttermilk and you're trying to make pancakes, you probably should use the buttermilk because that's the only way you're going to get the buttermilk flavor in your pancakes, if that's what you want now. And so the biggest issue with people is number one, you got to decide what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you got to decide what you're willing to give up in order to get what you said you want now. Number three, you got to plan your work. And number four, you got to work your plan.
Okay.
Number five, you got to treat all of that as if it's a matter of life and death. Otherwise, you won't play around with it. You want to start a business? Okay, cool. What type of business? Who do you want to attract? What do you want to sell them? Or what type of service do you want to deliver?
Okay.
And how do you want to deliver it? And to what degree do you want to be involved? Do you want to build a business or do you want to create a wall around yourself where you can't do nothing else except go make money because you done built your business to the point where you are the end all be all and it can't function without you?
So I know you work for Thrive, so you might not be able to tell us a lot of the ins and outs and everything, but I know the money has changed. The government had talked about getting rid of DEI and all this other kind of stuff. But can you just, without getting in any kind of trouble, because I don't want to get you in no trouble, can you just kind of talk a little bit about what that actually means to people when it comes to business and dreams that we may have been harvesting?
Well, I mean, like I said, it really comes down to the mentality. Now, I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for me. For me, the highest priority that I try to push and promote with the people that I work with is you have to absolutely develop your mentality and your internal fortitude. If you don't spend time developing your mentality and your internal fortitude, you might as well hang it up before you get started.
If you develop your
I don't
mentality,
care where you go.
are there people still can beat you out of some money, even if you have a great mentality? Can you still
It's
get
not
juked?
about getting beat out of money. It's about paying your dues and knowing that you got to pay your dues. Spending money is a part of paying your dues. Investing time is a part of paying your dues. But knowing what your why is also a part of paying your dues. And the thing people spend the least amount of time on It's identifying your why.
Mm.
Because when you know what your why is, it doesn't matter about how much time or money you spend. When you know your why, you're going to be doggedly determined to be able to satisfy your why. But if you don't have one, you might as well cut your own head off.
Okay. And now Thrive is in Oakland County. Are they also in Macomb County? Are there other parts of the country? How many?
Oakland County, period. That's
Period.
it.
Okay. So this will be made for my Oakland County listeners who are listening
That's
in.
all it's for.
And
Anybody else is going to get their feelings hurt because they can't take advantage of it.
and then to be a part of Thrive, what do they have to do? Or to get the benefits?
Well, you got to fill out an interest form that's going to ask about your business and get all up in your business because A, they want to make sure that it's for the people that it's supposed to be for. B, they want to make sure that those people that are taking advantage of the program really need the help and the assistance. And C, we are a nonprofit that's trying to be able to figure out how we can stay relevant and stay in business. So therefore, we have to be able to now substantiate what we're doing and for whom we're doing it for. So when the time comes for us to report out, we can do that with confidence. And so how many people have you ran into that's going to give you free services for business consulting, IT, legal services, HR, accounting and bookkeeping, and marketing? There's not a lot of institutions out there willing to say, look, we'll pay for this. And you get 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You get 5 hours to be able to talk to a marketing specialist and potentially 5 hours to talk to somebody in legal. And so whatever you got to do to be able to get in a position to have that time available when a lawyer costs anywhere from $300 to $700 an hour. So if you're going to get 5 hours, that means we paying anywhere from $1,500 to potentially $3,500 for you to go get free legal counseling.
Right.
You don't want to fill out a form to be able to do that? Why not? You got an extra $3,800 just laying around that you can just pay a lawyer, then you don't need us no way.
Right.
If that's your situation. But if that's not, then yes, entertain them by being able to do what they're asking you to do so they can unleash you to go and get the services you need to build your family's legacy.
Give me, as we start to close the show out, give me a success story of somebody that came to Thrive and they were here and they ended up being here.
There's a gentleman by the name, well, I don't want to say his name because I haven't asked him and we haven't done the proper things to be able to use somebody's name.
Right.
But there is a young man that I have been working with for about 18, 19 months. And he's got a multi-million-dollar contract that's across 4 contracts that total multi-millions that I've been coaching and mentoring, and I'm extremely proud of him. And so he has done very well for himself with taking the things that I've shared with him as it relates to how he should conduct himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been able to collaborate with some other people that are a part of the organization to where he's done exactly the blueprint that I've given him. And I'm quite proud of this young man. So much so to the point whereas I would say that any time of the day that this young man would call me, if he feels like there's something that he needs to know or get from me, I would venture to say that I would be willing to answer the phone for him at any hour of the day based on me having the feeling that I wanted to have by being able to see him prosper and grow. And based on him adopting my principles of the mentality I wanted to see him to start to accept and adapt to, yeah, I'll have to be honest and say that, yeah, it's nothing I wouldn't do for this young fella because he's done everything I've asked him to do and then some. And the results have held true to make me feel like I wasn't wrong about taking that chance on him to give him that access that I now am glad to give him. But I was a little hesitant at first. But I mean, when somebody thirsts for knowledge, Are you not going to feed them or are you going to restrict them? And so I just was like, okay, it's
So,
Friday night at 7:30 and they calling me and I'm going to answer the phone. But now he's got such a good handle on what he's doing that he doesn't need to call me as much as he used to,
okay.
which I also see as a testament of what I was able to do to help him have that ability to just say, you know what, I appreciate your help, but I think I got it from here. And if I run into trouble, I'll reach back out to you. But as of right now, I'm on my way.
He wasn't a millionaire before, though.
No, no, sir. No,
Okay.
sir. Not at all. No. But he's on his way to
He's on his
being
way.
one.
Okay. Okay. Multi. You got to love that.
And that's a hell of a feather to put in my cap. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of that.
Mm-hmm. So, is it Thrive desire or position to get more people to be a part of it, or get more people in positions that you're in, or what is Thrive goal for the year 2026?
Now that I can't speak to specifically, but
Okay.
to answer your question about whether they want to get more people, sure they do.
Mm-hmm.
And to what degree and what level and what capper and all that other stuff, can't speak to that. I just know that we are mandated to be able to help anybody that wants to start a business. But just because you want to start a business, it doesn't mean that you're meant to be in business.
Okay.
And so I'm not here to try to tell somebody what they should or shouldn't do, but for what I can contribute to the people that come my way,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a mentality. And if you will allow me to, I'm going to help you develop the internal fortitude to be able to get over yourself,
Okay.
because that's the biggest challenge that we all face. If you can't get over yourself, you're not going to build a business. You got to get over yourself and be able to see what the market is available to be able to allow you to bring something to it, and the market accepts what your offering is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't get over you, it's futile, because it's not going to work. Because if you're too worried about what people think or what people feel or what people don't think or whatever the case may be, it's like, listen, is this something you would buy from you? If you can't say you would buy whatever you selling from yourself, then what are you doing?
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Well, we're going to close this out, and I want you to have the last word on what would you like to, if somebody has to watch this video like maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, and what would you like them to see? Or maybe your kids or grandkids or your great grandkids. What would you like to see them hear you say? What would be your message to send to the future? And then we'll close this on out. I want to I
My
appreciate
message,
you. Thank you so much.
well, I want to say that, first of all, I want to thank you for thinking that I was somebody that was worthy to come on here. I really want to, say I'm grateful for that. In addition to that, as of right now, my son is 16. He was born 10 and a half weeks early, 3 pounds, 13 ounces. And he now is 6'1", 177 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And he eats like he's 3 men in one. My daughter is 14, and she came to the world day one, not less than 2 hours old, and she had her eyes open, and they've been open ever since she got here.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to think about it in the sense of me no longer being here and, them or grandchildren hearing this message, I would just say that everything that I did was with the expectation of being able to leave a legacy. And I've never done an interview before. I did do a podcast before this, but it was a totally different topic. It was a totally different everything. And this is the first time that I've actually, from a cultural standpoint, been able to really talk about what I think,
Okay.
unadulterated and genuinely from the heart, without putting on the persona of being professional or trying to be over eloquent or anything. To where it's just one of them things where I say, look, I was raised by a bunch of people that did not finish high school, let alone go to college. And those people taught me things about being able to move and meander through this world that kept me out of jail,
Hmm.
that kept me from being involved with situations that could end my life.
Yeah.
And they gave me solid, sound advice that I would say part of our condition is there was drugs that we had no ability to grow, no ability to transport, that found their way into our neighborhoods. And part of our condition that I need us to have more empathy for is we did not ask for the circumstances, but the desire to survive put some of us in positions where we made choices that destroyed the community. And there is enough of us that survived that calamity that we're trying to do something different. So I need you to get on board with the process that's now trying to be reverse engineered
Hmm.
into us caring enough to be able to give each other a hand up versus a hand out. So we can be able to now cross the bridges that we build versus burning down the whole damn village because we don't have any consciousness to be able to understand that legacy lasts forever and you only have a certain amount of predetermined time.
Hmm.
So that's what I would want to leave to them.
Well said. Well said. Well, I just want to say again, thank you. And that did what I needed to do. I'm filled. I got something to go on to the next day with. And this won't be the last time. We will be revisiting this again. See you again, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. And like I said, man, I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And hopefully, what you're trying to do, I can be a part of that. That's going to help it perpetuate itself forward. But, I'm taking a chance on doing this because this is not a norm for me. And, I can honestly say that if it was not you, I really don't know if I would have accepted the invitation. But because it is you, I'm like, you know what? I got you, brother Derek. I got you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to let you go. And I know you got things to take care of. Um, of course, give me a call whenever you want to, as we've been doing.
Appreciate you, brother,
I
man. I'm
appreciate you
looking
being a good
forward to
friend.
the edit.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Talk to you later.
All right, brother.
That was Marlon Lyons. Myron Lyons. I said Marlon. Myron Lyons. I don't want to get his name mixed